Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Okay.
It's very nice to meet you. Thank you so much for your time today, DT.
Where are you from? Where are you from?
Where am I from? I'm from
Yeah,
Somalia originally.
East Africa. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah, we have the same face. That's why it's like we're like copycats.
Yeah, I was like, that's a Somali face. I
Yeah,
mean, at the very worst, it would be Sudan, but no, it's Somali. But
yeah.
I didn't want to like,
You don't want
yeah,
to.
yes. Do I
Congratulations.
look Nigerian enough for you?
Oh my God. I knew you were Nigerian coming in, so I guess it would be a bit, you know, biased on my part. Yes, I mean, I don't know how to answer that. Yes, you look Nigerian.
I'm messing with you.
Oh my God.
How
So
are you?
good, good. Congratulations on the success of the Black Book.
Thank you. Thank you. It's still kind of like I was at a film event yesterday, premiere, and these are Hollywood folk, and they're like, I watched your film. I'm like,
You're like me? Not one.
yeah. So it's great. It's great. Thank you very much.
It's interesting. I wanted to talk about Paul because he's a very interesting character to me because he really sort of exemplifies this tension between victim and perpetrator. So before we find out that he's this crazy hitman, I really was feeling so bad for him. And then you start to discover who he is. And yet I never really lost, there was still this humanity in him. So how did you balance that to make him a compelling character?
I wanted to make a story where there are no good people.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, there's that. I think that ultimately, when you really look at the world is not black and white. It's different hues of gray.
Mhm.
And it's a thing that I wanted to, from a story point of view, just explore. So there's that, but then I think that we live in a country where there's a culture of forgiveness.
Yeah.
In fact, we live in a continent where there's a culture of forgiveness. Because I mean, look at South Africa.
Yeah.
When Mandela became president, instead of like throwing white people in jail, he had the Truth and Reconciliation Committee put together. In Nigeria, there's a culture of people, I was an armed robber, but now I'm a pastor. They never went to jail.
Mhm.
And in reality, too, when the military left power in 1999, the people who were actually in those hit squads that Paul, it wasn't all like there were hit squads that were used to eliminate dissidents. Those people were just retired from the military and sent home.
Yeah.
They never went to jail. There is a culture of people not going to jail in Nigeria, in Africa, and just turning a new leaf, and we believe them. And so it was important to reflect that. And of course, everyone has a lot of people have parts of them that they're ashamed of that they wouldn't want the world to see. And it's important for us to acknowledge people, humanity as is. I think that when we sanitize people to be black or white, it does not truly reflect who we are as humans, as people in a complex world, you know. And yes, we see Paul because Paul was such a great example of someone being good and bad. But Angel, um, Angel was just having daddy issues. He wanted the approval of, the general. He tried really hard for that approval, and it's not a great reason for you to do the things that you do. But he was just trying really hard because Paul had been retired for years, but the general still had respect and love for him that Angel could never have. Or Vic. Yeah, Vic, my mom was there. It was killed. I want to be a great journalist. I want to be like my mom. I would never compromise.
Yeah.
But when it really came to it, she accepted the black book from Paul because it would further her career. And when Paul's child was killed, I don't think she really liked the boy like that, but it was a good career move for her to follow this story through.
Very true.
So people are complex, and Professor Craig, God bless her, her family was killed, but ultimately in the end, she accepted the help from this hitman, Paul, former hitman, or now back to being a hitman, Paul, to take vengeance against the person who killed her family.
Yeah.
So are we all good people? Are we all bad people? Or are we complex people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not black and white. And the other thing I appreciated was how Ade and Paul really complemented each other. And there's a generational gap between them, a huge generational gap. And I feel like that really speaks to the violence that they're trying to combat. So can you just speak a little to how important that gap was?
So my parents' generation and my generation are like, but there is a generation like just next adjacent to mine that does not. I think there's a sympathy that exists between my generation and my parents' generation, but the younger generation doesn't have that sympathy. There is that never having seen what my parents went through. Like, how could you possibly do that? But then I watched my parents live through the military government where you couldn't speak up, you couldn't own a black card, you couldn't say. And so these people grow up under that repressive regime. And so that generation of people don't usually protest, they don't usually speak up against, and they don't vote in large numbers. They're like, it's the young people are like, yeah, because they've got the energy and they don't have the trauma of living under repressive governments. And so it was important to have that signposted, juxtaposed, that generation of people who lived under repression, or in this case, perpetrated the repression across from a generation that never felt it. And so to be firebrand. And of course, the character was deliberately designed to be annoying because Gen Zs can be annoying. It's actually a poster child for the Gen Z attitude to everything. Uh, so I'm sorry, that was me getting back at them, even though she's a millennial. Anyway, so it's that thing where I wanted to show that throughout this character that things aren't always that simple. You can always compromise, and listen to grown-ups more. Listen, you know. So that's what it was. But more importantly, I think that I really respect this performance and that she villains are respected, heroes are loved. But when you're an annoying character, you're hated.
Yeah, no matter what.
It's the hardest, yeah, it's the hardest role to play. And the closest I could find to how annoying this character was is Wendy Beard
Oh,
in Ozark.
yeah. Oh, she is terrible. She's on par with Breaking Bad. Like
Yeah.
she's so annoying. All she does is like complain and offers
And
no.
you hate her, right? You absolutely hate. No one comes out like, I mean, the husband was the true, real villain, but you love Marty. Marty has humanity, even though he's terrible.
Yeah,
But Wendy,
oh,
yeah. And so, like, that was the model for me, like creating different characters that take the audience in different directions. It's how you keep people engaged. Whether you hate a character, whether you love a character, you're going to follow that character. As long as the character is able to imprint on you. And back to the thing I always say, everyone has, doesn't matter the color of your skin, you'll have the same emotions of, happiness, sadness, joy, all the different emotions, and of course grief. And it is those that doesn't matter what color of skin that we have, everyone feels that. And so if we tell a story that allows us to feel those emotions, people are going to follow the stories wherever they are. And in this case, shout out to South Korea, made the Black Book the #1 film for weeks. I was like,
Massive, massive.
I'm not saying to stop, keep going, but like, yeah. So yes, I'm really grateful, and I'm glad to see that a lot of the work that we did came through, because you could have done all that work and nobody liked it.
Yeah, that would have been a hard hit. But you know, it's interesting, going back to what you said about Ade, she is annoying. I didn't want to say that, but you said it. But I
The
did,
character,
character is very annoying. But it's funny because when you talk about Gen Z, she's a millennial, but she has that idealism in her where it's like, we're gonna come back, you know, corruption. But then the minute she finds out about Paul, she's ready to take blood. So can you just speak to, you know, it's fine to have these ideas, to want change, but the reality of the world we're living in, it's very easy for a victim to just turn around and do the same thing. She could have easily turned. Yeah.
It takes the wisdom of the elders and young people's energy. Welcome to the story we call victory, coming of the Lord. My eyes have seen the glory. One day when the glory comes, it will be ours. Thelma, that's common. You know, one day when the glory comes, it will be. But no, that line specifically, I think that young people, or as young people, and see, I'm not a young person anymore, and I've lived through that idealism. We always want it now.
Yeah. Yes.
And there is value in wisdom, in accepting guidance from wisdom. Our energy is important. The energy of young people is important, but so is the wisdom of slow down.
Yeah.
I think like most revolutions could benefit from punch, duck, punch, duck. We always want to just punch, you know, young people want to just punch. And it's important. I think this is one of the most interesting interviews I've had so far, because like no one has asked me this question. I think that it's really important that we, as we are pushing for change, understand that it's not going to take a day, and to find the courage to accept wisdom.
Yeah, very well said. And just to add to that, right here, right now, a huge theme is delayed justice. So Paul has the luxury of getting back, like he has the skills to take the revenge a lot of parents only wish that they could take. And so because you don't have any clear bad guys or any clear good guys, can you just speak to what or who the villain is in this film?
I think that we were careful to ensure that everyone has the villainy and has a hero moment, including the general.
Yeah. Yeah.
The general could have had Paul killed, and he gave him a chance. He always gave him a chance. You know, this is my boy, man. This is my boy. I mean, he's a threat to my business, but like, he's my boy though.
Yeah.
He's my boy.
You get where he's coming from.
And he had a lot of respect for Paul. You know, Paul came into that meeting, and he says, "I'm surprised he came alone." And Paul was like, "I didn't come alone, you know." and he's like, "That's my boy."
Yeah, you learned something. Yeah.
Yeah, and so for me, it was just really important for everyone to have their moments of bad and good. Actually, I in editing, there's moments that Angel he had a really good moment. That ultimately we couldn't. Hopefully we have an extended cut. You know, we had moments of vulnerability for him as well. You know, but I think that it was very important for me ultimately to in a land where the way I put it was like in my director's note. It's on my handle. In a story where there are no good people, silence is the enemy. See, there were no good people in this story. There were no bad people. It's just people who are worse than others. There was no obvious villain. Like it was very clear. Like The general sat at the top of the food chain, but was he really the villain? He was just trying to survive, man. um, in the war that he was in. So silence ultimately now becomes the enemy of the good. We must learn to speak for justice, whether the justice is for people we like or not. In fact, I believe primarily that we should make sure that bad people receive justice so that when good people need justice, there is no saying, because he's a good person.
Yeah, selective justice.
I believe that there should be buses on the roads. I don't use the buses. I don't. I have a car, I have a driver at home. But what if one day I want to use a bus? So I must fight to ensure there are buses on the street, so in case one day I need to use it.
Yeah, very well said. And it's interesting because there's so much commentary that can be made in this movie. So how do you balance, like, it's very entertaining. It's ultimately like I had a blast watching it. But at the same time, you did a very good job of kind of fusing in Nigeria's past and how that's contributing to a lot of the violence we see today. So how do you balance that, wanting to make these commentaries, but at the same time, it is a movie and you want it to be entertaining and fun?
Film is a pulpit, my sister. No, like I make no mistakes or I don't equivocate. Like film is a pulpit. Eh? So like you climb your pulpit and say your shit, you know? However, you have to be careful the congregation gets the message. And so you have to create Trojans.
Yeah.
This is why some pastors come in with theatrics to keep your attention.
Yeah.
But they're going to say what they want to say. But very importantly for me, I think, is that we come from the storytelling, we have a culture of storytelling. And in the stories that we were told as children, they always had a moral lesson.
Yeah.
They always had a moral lesson. When you go to Sunday school, they teach you, and then they say, what's the moral lesson for today? And we will start like speaking on what the moral lessons are. Every single folk tale that we were told as children had a moral lesson. And so as African storytellers, filmmakers, I don't think it bodes well for us if we departed from that tradition of telling stories, with an exit point of morality. I think that that's what differentiates our stories. We're not entertaining for the sake of entertainment. I would never do that. I think that I was taught to tell stories that have meaning, that bring meaning to the world.
Yeah. Just to add to that point, the story is very simple. It's very easy to follow, but I'm sure to make it uniquely Nigerian, like I love the aesthetic of the film. Like and I just want you to speak to how challenging that must have been to create that aesthetic.
So we had to like deliberately go outside of the norm of Nollywood. I was like, no, I don't want big houses and columns, because you watch Nollywood films, you see big cars, nice cars, columns, yeah. Which means all our East African sisters think all Nigerians are rich. And so when you go to East Africa, you know. But no, it was very important for me to tell the story from the point of view of Nigerians, all kinds of Nigerians. The general's home, I made sure it was a different kind of home and not the ones we always see in Nollywood. We want it to be conspirational. You get into this room and you feel like they're gonna kill someone in here. And so I wanted to feel that way, and I wanted to see all kinds of Nigerians, the poor Nigerians who live in remote communities. I wanted to see them. Wanted to see that even then those kids go to school. That point where Paul is going to work and he's saying hi to the kids in school uniform. The boys are headstrong. They don't bow to nobody. They go outside, they greet back. It's very simple things, very small nuances. Or the people, working class people, they have fun too, even at work.
Yeah.
They stop and say hi to each other and embrace each other. It was important to show that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very important to show markets the way they are. And so we built about 38 sets, and we're very deliberate in building them and making sure that the markets. So the market, for example, that you see, it wasn't shot in the live market. We built that market, put 300 extras.
Wow. So it was like a,
Yeah.
wow.
The police station was built from scratch by a man called Pat Nebo. Unfortunately for us, Pat Nebo died a week before the film was released. God bless his soul. Died of cancer. He was like the best production designer Nigeria has ever had.
Oh, wow.
It's thrown me into a bit of confusion because I'm trying to do bigger pictures than the Black Book right now. I was like,
Who's
who's
going to
gonna
be,
build the world? Who understood the world intrinsically the way I did, the way I saw it, and um, you go hard, Sha. You go hard. So
oh my God. Yeah.
Pat Nebo, yeah, but that to build for people to believe in the world that you are creating, they have to believe the world exists. It has to look real, feel real. There's a tangibleness, and then whatever the characters do in that world, it is easier to believe because you believe the world looks real. And so, for example, the police station, there's small subliminal messaging. Vic comes into the police station and she's sexually assaulted by men in jail.
Yeah. I saw, yeah, the cat calling.
Yeah. And we designed it so that we designed that set so that you can shoot from the front and from the back, where you see the men in the jail and even the ones that were in confinement, they still want to see this woman, they had to jump. It's small things, very small things. And so it was important for us to build the world in a way that makes it believable, makes you see them. And so when we were now preaching our politics of empowering women in storytelling, it was easy to do. When we gave all the guns to women and we want, that scene.
I love that scene with all they had hijab.
I know, yeah. And that scene was designed to make every woman in the world feel like they are powerful. And it's why that scene had all kinds of women.
Yeah.
Tall women, short women, big women, light skin, dark skin, but of course deliberately put the dark skin, skinny woman in the middle, with a badass gun. And Nigeria is also a funny, religiously fractured country, and we had to be careful to be very respectful of the cultures and religion to make sure that our Muslim brothers didn't come to my neck because,
Yes.
yeah, there were women in hijabs carrying guns, but then I had to speak with a scholar to make sure that a woman who is trying to save herself from a difficult situation, of course, can carry a gun. And so we had to do all of that research. And so in that very small moments that we wanted to tell that very empowering story visually, you have to do the right amount of research to ensure that in trying to do this good thing, you're not doing bad things.
Yeah, it was delicate balance, and I felt it. It wasn't like a caricature of yeah, it's a very like sprinkled balance. You're pretty new to this directing game. I know you have two previous movies. I know you have two previous movies. What was it like working with such veteran actors? Were you intimidated at all?
They were very kind to me. They were very kind, and I don't know. I sat a few weeks ago at AFRIF, that's African Film Festival in Lagos, and sitting on a stage with RMD, Sam Dede, Shafi Bello, and they're telling the audience everything you see, it was him. He changed our lives. He showed us different. He showed us that we can have careers even at this age. We can have renewed careers. And I was just like, stop. But they were very kind and they trusted me so much. I have nothing but love and I'm so grateful to them because they trusted in everything I said. When I said let's do this, they said yes.
Yeah.
I told Adam you're gonna work out for 6 months. It ended up being almost a year. You're gonna diet. You're gonna have to lose weight to get in shape for this character. He did it. He did everything I asked him. He didn't miss one gym day. He did not. You know, And so he came along with me to go meet with the police and the army, to get approval to this film because Nigeria is still very militarized and it could easily ban your film if you don't get the right permits for them.
Oh,
It took a year to do all of that, and it was, I guess, we did more work for this film than anyone has ever done for a film out of Nigeria, just preparing for it. And I'm really glad that it shows up in the work. It looks like we did all that work and the world appreciates it.
yeah. Last question, I promise. Um, this is a lot of people's first sort of exposure to a Nigerian film and Nollywood as it is. And I think gone are the days of people explaining their cultures to other people. However, what would you like people to take away from this film? Because, there's a lot of commentary that can be lost on the average person, but what would you like them to leave with if this was like their first Nigerian film?
Hmm. I'm going to lead by saying that, look, Africa, we're ready.
Hmm. Yeah.
We are ready because, look, nothing sticks more to the impact of the Black Book than a Nigerian film and African film being number one in South Korea.
Yeah, it was huge.
Now, number one or two across South America, I can understand. There are Black people there.
Mm.
We have similar backgrounds. We have military dictatorships. We can understand. But South Korea, there are no Black people there. All through the week, we were tracking number one in Netherlands, number one in Romania. Like, Romania,
Romania. Where is Romania? That's a good question.
exactly. And so it was hitting number ones, number twos, number one in France. I'm like, like why? But South Korea really is a demonstration now because it was there for the entire week, and the next week it was the number one film. A film made by Black people, Black faces, 100%. And the Black country is not trying to attach Hollywood, it's not trying to be Hollywood, it's just a Black film became the world's favorite film. So we're ready for this. Afrobeat has shown that Black music can do it. They
Yeah,
show that Black films can do it. We're there.
yeah.
Now, we are enough. We can do it. We have the capacity to if we work hard for it. And nothing says that to me more than like a year ago when I came to LA, when I would come to, I'm in LA at the moment, I would come to LA talking about the project and the agency would like, we had to attach a WGA writer, we had to attach a Hollywood writer or a Hollywood director. And now they're asking me, can we attach you?
Wow.
That's really cool.
That's good.
That's really cool. And so for us as African filmmakers, I think that it's important that we continue to build. Our market is not only in our countries. Market is a global market. Our stories can travel. We're willing to do the work, right? And distribution is a thing that we are working really hard to build a new kind of distribution for African content. That's the work that I have to do. That's my job now. I have been brought to this, and I can't disappoint my people. So I'm willing to do the work. And so the world, we have told you, we are here, we have arrived. We've brought our chair to the table. How far?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah. It's, I think it was the confidence in the way you told the story. Like you said, I'm going to tell it my way. You like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. And I think for that, people could see through it.
I tell you why that is so important. Like when we were doing our strategy, we've tested things. We didn't do anything haphazardly. We didn't just spitball.
No.
And so we're doing strategy, marketing strategy, PR strategy leading to the release of the film. I was like, I'm not going to read any reviews.
Mm.
If someone says something good or bad, don't send it to me. We're going to release the film. And that is all that matters. The film is going to go around the world and do what it's supposed to do. I don't want to hear opinions. I don't want to be shaking in my faith. This is the faith that I have. This film is going to be up there in the world, right? And this, I know there's even in our industry, there's dichotomies of people who would not like who don't like commercial films, for example. And when people told me, oh, people are saying, some people are saying it's very commercial, I'm like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to listen to it. My job as a filmmaker at this time is to create this new doorway. We need to build the train tracks to global, to stepping onto the global stage. That's my job to do. Everything else is secondary. That's why I am here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think people appreciated that authenticity, like with reviews. I mean, this is not objective. At the end of the day,
It's subjective. You
objective.
have to know that as a creator.
In your case, it wasn't subjective because it was very successful. I think.
Thank you so very much.
Oh my God. And I look forward to your next project. It's not listed yet, but I'm sure you're. Do you want to speak
Oh
on it?
no, yeah, because I do have a project that I'm preparing to shoot early Q1, but it's unlikely to be the project I release next.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm in conversations at the moment about that, the project that it's a nice blend of that global storytelling with like an African story that is addressing a global audience. Because I mean we are here at we've moved forward some of our international projects, that were supposed to be in 3 years. We had to move them forward because we have the opportunity now to tell them. So I think within the next month or so we'll have clarity on what our next. We know what we will be able to announce what our next project will be and who our partners are for that. And I'm just really grateful to be in the position to be the one to do this.
Okay.
Really grateful.
We look forward to it. I really thank you so much. As soon as you came on, I felt comfortable. I was very nervous beforehand.
Why would you be?
I'm like starting this interviewing thing, so I'm always over preparing all the time.
Congratulations. Well done. Well done. Well done. I liked it. I felt comfortable till you put the poster behind you and I was like, oh, that's such a nice touch.
The detail.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
It was
You can add me on LinkedIn or my name is Editi Effiong on Instagram. So if you have any further questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you so much. God
bless. Pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. Bless.